The Voidgrubs that were introduced in Season 14 are one of the most overrated camps in the game. The only one more overrated than that is Scuttle, and that'll be a topic for another video. But please, top laners and junglers, stop greeding for the grubs. The buff's not that great. Overall, the entire camp is worth less than Dragon. If you have the option between the two, always take the Drake. Now, why do I think the grubs are so overrated? Because it takes a really long time, it's really risky, and the XP isn't really worth it. The Hunger of the Void requires you to have 5 of the 6 killed, which takes quite a while because you have to wait for the second one to respawn, kill those off, and then hope to get some value. But if the enemy team has any AoE when they're defending their turret, it's not really going to do that much anyway. That's not to say that the camp entirely has no value though. I think there's a lot of value in taking just one of the grubs, because the difference in XP for the jungler is very significant. Killing the first grub gives 157 XP, versus if you kill the other two on the initial spawning, so at the 5-minute mark when the first grubs are spawning, the other two, so the second and third one you kill, those only give 77 XP each, because the first one only counts as an epic monster takedown. The takedown is what gives junglers 80 extra XP because of their jungle item. So this is really important for deciding how much time you want to spend on the camp. You don't want to be dropping other camps if you could just do one of the grubs and then still get your camps. The entire grubs is worth just a little bit more than 2 camps, but you're also running much higher risk with taking the grubs compared to your normal camps because the enemy jungler could show up, you could get rotated on, etc. The grubs do not have the same value as the old first heralds, or do not treat it as such. Another benefit of killing only one of the void grubs is that there's no notification for the enemy team unless you've already been seen as you're doing it. The notification, if you have not been seen, occurs after killing the third grub. That's when the enemy team is notified and they can do whatever with that information. But if you do just one, they don't know for certain that you're on it. The grubs are great for top laners though. If they've already crashed their wave and they don't really need to recall, they absolutely can go help the jungler take one grub and go back to lane. They don't want to be sitting there clearing all 3 grubs though, because that takes way too long. It's not worth dropping waves in order to get the grubs. Same thing for mid laners, of course, but mid laners, they don't care about the grubs quite as much because they're not going to be doing as much pushing generally as the top laner will be, but of course there can be some exceptions. However, as I said before, Drakes are higher priority, so if the mid laner has to choose between the two, they should be playing for the Drake. There's going to be a lot more value for that, and just give up the grubs, not that big of a deal, fantastic. Another thing that you have to consider, when the enemy is doing grubs, that means that's an opportunity to counter jungle them on the other side of the map. You don't even necessarily have to trade grubs for Drake. You can let them have grubs and then you take their raptors and krugs if you're on red side. Sometimes you can even get away with getting the red buff as well if you consider the timing, because the grubs are spawning at 5 minutes, but they're not really killing it immediately. It takes a little bit of time to actually get there, set it up, kill it all. And if they kill the red buff first, it's going to be respawning at roughly 640, depending on when they killed it, because it spawns at 130. So you'll be there to take their camps and have a ton of value with that.